We are here in the studio for Motorcycle Mavericks, a new podcast that Lionel and I have decided to put together. And you like my crib, my pad?
Your crib is sick.
Is
I
it?
definitely dig it, man. I love the old bikes.
You like the Crocker?
I do, yeah.
I fucking love Crockers. I can't afford one because they're about $800,000, so I figured I'd have a picture of one instead.
Well, let's just start this thing out with honesty.
Yes.
You could afford one if you wanted one, Ari.
Well, I could, but I could afford one, but I'd have to sell a couple of things. Like,
okay.
So let's be honest. I'd have to sell a couple of watches. I'm not that liquid, okay? I don't have $700,000 to $800,000 in cash.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie. I do well. I'm very fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to make a good living. It's something I love, but it'd probably take a handful of watches or a couple of cars. And I have nice cars, but it still take a couple of cars to probably come together with it. And Jason, who was supposed to be here, that motherfucker didn't show up. But Jason Sims, with who does Cannonball and who does the Chase, who you know well, he actually has one that is for sale. It's not his; he's broken for someone. And I saw it at in California at Born Free, and it drew a hell of a crowd.
Yeah,
a hell of a crowd. But $700K, I don't know.
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, Crocker. So
this looked cool.
Yeah, they're very, very cool, and apparently they were like the fastest bikes of their time in the 20s and 30s. They only made I think 50 or 100 of them. Jason, again, if Jason was here like he was supposed to be and didn't flake on me, he could talk about the Crocker a little more. But yeah, so we're here today. You're in town. Why are you in town, by the way?
Rocky Point Rally, man. Going to
right.
go to Mexico, rock and roll.
Thank you for coming. I know that you and I talked about bringing you here, and you've come a couple of years in a row. You've been very gracious, which is awesome. Donate your time, some product. We have a winner you're going to be hanging out with, you and Paul, right?
Well, I didn't donate my time this year.
Oh, I'm paying for it.
You are not.
Oh, who's paying for it?
We got somebody else to pay for it.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
Save me $40,000 a
Oscar's
year.
paying for it this year.
Even better. Is that in pesos or dollars, by the way?
It is in dollars, man.
Nice.
Part of the negotiation. So I'm actually getting paid this year. So
I like it. Well, that's good. No, but I'm super excited to have you here. I don't know if people know, but we're obviously good friends. We also work together, and you're one of several of our influencer brand ambassadors. But first and foremost, you're a good friend of mine, and
absolutely.
And I think people need to realize this is not just a pay for play or endorsement. You've been a client of ours, which is awesome. Twice, and you still live to tell about it and ride another day. Thank God. But I'm trying to bring people in here, and again, Lionel will be with me at future podcasts, Motorcycle Mavericks podcasts, to really get to know them on another level. This is not the bullshit, and I'm not trying to disparage other podcasts, but the crap that you see that is, driven by advertising dollars, driven by, other commercial endeavors. This is really just, conversations you and I would have behind the scenes without people around, raw, uncut.
Yeah, that is a unique thing in the motorcycle space because I've done countless podcasts, and it's always the same stuff.
What's the worst fucking question you've been asked?
Like most difficult or like
both stupidest, annoying and stupidest.
Oh man, I don't even know. I don't get asked anything good. I literally tell people before the podcast, I'm like, put together something challenging.
And they don't prepare.
I just get the same stuff over and over. How many miles do you ride and how much money do you raise for charity, which is all important and wonderful stuff. But I mean, that's common knowledge. If you just do a little research with me, you can see what kind of miles I'm putting down and where I'm going. Right. Nobody ever asked me anything difficult.
Like they don't ask you whether you prefer, I don't know if doggy style or.
No, I don't. I don't get anything. I don't get anything religious, political, sexual, goal, even oriented, personal life. Like, nothing. Just it's always like charity, miles, and which is all that other stuff that gets you in trouble.
Well, it could, but I think if as long as you're not like breaking the law or I mean you're going to offend people if you do something controversial. Some people are going to get offended, right?
For sure.
Obviously, I don't want to offend your wife, and I know you prefer blondes, obviously, but I think people need to need to see a different side. I'm not saying you're fake, but a side that maybe they don't see all the time because you're in the public eye, right? The public persona.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, if we're just going to be honest, I mean, there's a lot of things I would love to talk about that I can't just bring to a table because if I sell it, if I'm pushing it, if I'm talking about it, then I'm the instigator or the problem. But if someone asked me about it, I could respectfully answer honestly. And if you get upset about that, well, then that's your problem. I think everybody seems to think that if you get offended by something I say, somehow that automatically makes you right. Right. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
100%.
Right? Because offense comes from emotion. It's an emotional thing, and emotion and logic don't often go hand in hand. Sometimes they do, but often not. And
ego too plays a role, right?
Ego plays a huge role.
Go ahead. You're saying.
Oh, I was just gonna say, but I just think this whole thing that you have to tiptoe around everything and not offend people is honestly a bit absurd and ridiculous.
Well, that's the whole woke thing. It's gone crazy, right? I mean, it's gone. I mean, I'm a pretty centrist guy, but at either extreme, it obviously we just had the election. Thank God that shit's over with, right? Yeah. But so we come back to some degree of normalcy. But I think when you can't tell jokes, a comedian can't tell jokes without someone being offended. It's like. Yeah. Come on, I mean,
or I'm not entitled to my opinion because it's different than yours.
Right,
I mean,
right. Or I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
It's atrocious, dude. It's gotten so bad. Nobody can understand. We're America because we're supposed to be able to have different opinions,
right,
and still have a common goal.
100%.
And that has gotten lost somewhere. And I have a lot of friends who have polarizing views to me, and I find myself just biting my tongue and not carrying conversations with them because I don't want to ruin a friendship over a view. I
have that with family members. Yeah, I mean, I have family members at both extremes, far right, far left.
Crazy.
And, you don't want to jeopardize relationships over it, whether they're business, personal. But we've gotten to this point now where, people just can't respect what someone else thinks if it's different from them, and they think they're bad or they're wrong because they don't share the same view, which is crazy.
Well, look what just happened with Harley Davidson.
I know.
I was in the middle of that mess.
Were you? Can you elaborate without?
Sure.
Tell me.
I'll tell anything I want to tell. There's one thing I will give Harley Davidson credit for. Years ago, they were so bad to work with because they were like, it's all of us or nothing. Like my first contract with Harley Davidson, if I even put my leg over another brand of motorcycle and someone took a picture, I lost my contract.
Right.
I couldn't even sit on one in a showroom.
Right.
Like that's how controlling they were. Now they're like, hey, ride what you want to ride, do what you want to do, say what you want to say.
They've come around, right?
Yeah, big time. They've changed.
They won't work with us, but that's
yeah.
And I love Harley. I have a ton of them, old and new. But
I have tried to get you in with them, man.
I know, and I love the brand.
I'm giving it to honest.
I know. One of these days, maybe. And hey, I understand they're a big corporation and they've got certain policies. And respectfully, they've spoken to me, at your request and. I understand the situation. I would love to work with them, and maybe one of these days we will. But I'll still ride their bikes. I mean, they're my favorite bikes of all time.
They are
so
amazing.
I love them so much. So you were saying, go talk about it.
Well, so what happened? What had happened was Harley Davidson was supposed to be doing a social media post on me.
Yep.
And the morning the post was supposed to come out, and they've done several, right? To their credit, the morning the post was supposed to come out, I get a call from my guy.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, man, he's like, we were going to post on you today, but I don't think we're going to. And I said, okay, what's up? He says, well, do you just see what happened online last night? And I'm like, no. He's like, oh, well, we've gotten called out for going woke. And
who would have thought Harley being called out for going woke?
It's all over the internet.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're getting, he's like, I've been in meetings since like 6 o'clock this morning. He's like trying to figure out how we're going to manage this stuff. Because it's going viral. Like some guy did some video where he exposed different things that Harley supposedly, I never verified, so I say supposedly, but it looks pretty evident they did donate to. He's like, and we're trying to figure out how to manage it. He's like, and the last thing we want to do is post on you and then have this stuff come to you and your channel.
Sure.
And I was like, well, thank you for protecting me. I said, but I don't give a shit.
Right.
Right. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, that stuff comes, and it did it. That stuff flooded my channel for a month.
Sure.
Comments. Well, how are you going to support? How are you going to this? And I ignore that stuff.
Right.
I just don't even. And so he's like, well, how are you going to handle it? What are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing I always do, man.
Right.
People are going to hate.
Yes.
People are going to hold you down.
Yep.
And my philosophy is very simple. For every person who puts a negative comment on my page,
Yep.
I'll like it.
Yep.
Because that's an engagement. Engagement is king.
Of course.
And then I'll just go like 10 other positive comments.
Of course.
And then I don't let it bother me. I let it go off my back.
What's the negative stuff that you get? Like, oh, you're like, you've gone, you've commercialized or you've sold out. Is that, have you heard of that?
The worst thing I get,
Yeah.
the thing that does sometimes, it tries to get to me, I do a pretty good job of getting it off, but people tell me I made my living off the backs of veterans.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's pretty bad,
They
man.
have no idea where you came from and how you started and what you do. That's crazy.
I got people be like, oh man, making your living off the back of veterans. I'm like, well, no, I make my living developing products, creating content, entertaining, supporting endorsement deals, and I choose to use a piece of what I make to help veterans.
Of course, yeah.
And that's part of my message because it's the message I want to spread. But I hate it when people say that stuff. I'm just like, man, sometimes it gets so bad that I'm like, maybe I should just stop giving money to charity. Then nobody could say that.
Yeah, well, that's
but that's not the answer.
that's not the case. And again, one of the reasons I wanted to do this with you is because people have no fucking concept of the work you put in, the time, the commitment. I mean, let's be honest. You've told me this. You're not going to be doing this social media thing forever, right? I mean, you have other business interests. You and I have talked about doing some stuff together. Ideally, maybe doing a campground. We've tried it, and I'm hoping at some point it'll happen. But
it will.
Being an influencer. I mean, I'm with you all the time, and I understand it comes with the territory. But people wanting photos with you, talking to you, you having to have all these commitments to go to events, to ride. And I know you love riding, but it's a job. It's not like a lot of people want to be like famous or an influencer, but they have no idea of the commitment and the time and the energy it takes, right, to do this job.
100%. It's a business. It's a business, and you got to run it like a business. And it's almost even more difficult because there's so many people that don't understand the business aspect of it, that think they're just going to come in, like you said, and it's just going to be fun and games.
Right.
And they ruin it for the rest of us because they create these relationships with these businesses, and then they're completely unprofessional, and they don't follow through, and they don't put in the hours and the work.
Right.
And then the rest of us have to go in and be like, yeah, you can work with us. We're not like that. And it's very difficult. I really, I don't want to say I started it, but I was one of the first, I was for sure the first social media personality Harley Davidson ever paid.
Of course. That's a huge,
and
huge
and a lot of companies.
Right.
And so I kind of busted that door open, like, hey, there's a value here for your brand.
Sure.
And then I got all these other guys that come in and sell it and then don't deliver.
Yeah, there's some of them have worked for you, and then they go,
oh my God,
they come in with you think good intentions, and then they just want to, literally benefit from you or off your back and your hard work, and then become an influencer. Are you able to disclose any of those, or would you rather not?
I hate to give eyeballs or ears or attention to people who are dishonest.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't.
But I did have a situation with a guy specifically that, the crazy, just be honest, right?
Right.
Like, couple things. I took him on this ride. I'm like, what's the furthest you ever been? He's like, I don't know, 100 miles. I'm like, well, I'm going to Nevada. Okay, if you want to go to Nevada for the rally that was there in the water, what's that rally called again? I forget.
You're talking about Laughlin?
Laughlin,
yeah. That event's gone to shit. Yeah, man, what a good event that's turned sour. It doesn't even exist anymore on that site. Anyway,
of everything and ruin it.
So anyway, you were saying?
So I got him a bike because he didn't have a bike he could ride there. Rode him all the way there. On the way back, 2 extra nights I had to pay. So I paid him to go, right, because he's going to help me hold cameras and just do some things I need done. On the way back, 2 extra nights I had to spend in hotel rooms because it was too windy and he couldn't ride the wind.
Yeah.
Which, I never criticize anybody. I want everybody to be safe and ride your ride. And if you can't do it, then I will stop and get us extra nights at a hotel. Mm-hmm. But then 3 weeks later, when you're all over the internet talking about how you're a real biker and I'm not, it's a bit of a sour pill to swallow. You know what I mean? And just, con stuff. Like, he came to, we broke that world record for the largest parade of Harley Davidsons.
Right.
And there was a room where we were set up with, media and, all of us that were making decisions. We need to get more water and some different things. And those decisions have to be made. We have to have an area to execute them. Well, he wanted in there so bad. He asked me. He asked, 4 other people to get in there. He went to Harley Davidson, tried to get in there, and everybody kept coming. I'm like, no, dude, this guy's a con artist. Don't want him in here because he'll film something and then try to turn it bad against us. Right.
Yeah.
And so then what does he do since he can't get in? He runs all over the crowd and says, oh, see, I'm like the real people. I would never be in there. I would never do that. Those guys are in the VIP room. They think they're better than everybody.
Right.
What do you mean? Like, you're such a con artist, man. You just begged us to get in here.
Yeah.
And then went out and tried to say, I'm with the people.
Right.
Like, I mean, you just can't talk out of both sides.
Well, I'm sure he'll see this at some point and respond in some way.
Well, and now he's doing GoFundMes to help himself. And,
you
know, this health thing, which, God forbid, bad health to anybody.
Of course.
But, you know, I just don't believe in, I don't know.
Yeah.
Get a job.
That's
if
true.
That's the case. Get insurance. If you're worried about health, get insurance.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're not making enough money doing what you're doing to take care of your family, then you need to do something different.
Sure. What is something, you know, that people may not know about what you do that, you know, a misperception, let's say, or something that, you know, goes into the work you do that they may not know of, maybe the best thing and the worst thing about it?
I mean, the best thing are the benefits, right? I mean, I get so many wonderful benefits. I get to backdoor every concert I could possibly want to go to at all the rallies. I'm always in VIP sections. I can pretty much work with any company I want to work with in the motorcycle space. For
women throwing themselves at you, of course, as well.
That is a thing. Yeah. I mean, one time I was camping out. One time I was camping out in. This is when I stopped using the. I had a geo tracker like on me that GPS tracked where I was at all times.
Yeah. Did Ashley put that on you, or did you put that on yourself?
Before I met Ashley, yeah. Before I met my wife, and I was in the Smoky Mountain National Park, and I had set up my tent, and I took Scooter, my dog at the time, and we went to go get some firewood, and I came back, and there was a chick naked in my tent.
Good-looking chick, or so-so?
I mean,
1 to 10.
1 to 10. She was older.
Okay.
So for her age, okay, if we're gonna go by age, we're gonna, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. For her age, she was probably a 6 or a 7.
Yeah. Your age demo for women seems to be what, like about 40 to 60? Is that?
Yeah, 40 to 60. Yeah.
They love you, man. Those women.
40 to 60. Yeah.
So anyway, you were saying?
Yeah. So she just showed up. She found me on that GPS tractor, and she's like, "It must have been off because last night it showed you over here, and I went there and you weren't there." And she was naked in my tent.
Did you
all
do the
the way
deed?
up from New York.
Did you do the deed? Did you
no,
have some
I let
fun?
her go. No,
let her go.
Honestly,
if she was a 10, would you have kept her?
No, because I had another girl flying in that I was taking. Yeah.
The truth comes out.
Yeah.
The truth comes out.
Had I not had somebody else coming to visit me that night, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you got to take the good and the bad. Obviously, let's be honest. I do well. You've done well with hard work, with the partnerships and the sponsorships. Mm-hmm. So obviously, that's the fruits of your labor. That's not what drove you. I met you years ago. I mean, you never envisioned being in this position.
Didn't even know it existed, Ari. Right? Yeah. Like when I started doing this, I didn't even know that this was a possibility. This was all just a blessing to me.
Right.
Truly a blessing. Yeah. When people ask me for advice, they're like, "Well, how do you?" I'm like, I didn't intend this. Like, it happened to me.
Yeah.
I was just living my life, doing something I felt I needed to do, and sharing it online.
Right.
I didn't even know. I was into it for a year and a half before I even knew there was such thing as making money on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? And you and I've had these discussions for years. I mean, you crashed on our couch in Sturgis. Bob and you connected, my former manager, and you were just looking for a place to crash where you didn't get wet, or when you had a shower and a decent place to sleep. Right. That was
the night before that night, you guys took me in Sturgis. I slept outside behind a rodeo in the dirt next to my bike.
And you did that for years, right? Yeah. I mean, people see now your campgrounds and your house and your many bikes and you're traveling across the country, but that didn't fucking happen overnight. That's a 6-7 year, journey.
10-year.
10-year journey.
Just had my 10-year anniversary.
10-year, yeah.
So, I spent 5 years homeless without a home.
Yep.
On the road.
Yep.
Full time.
That's
every
crazy.
single day.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Do people know about your background in MMA? Has that ever come up in conversation or interviews?
It does come up. Yeah. It comes up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if most people realize, but you were like a fight promoter. It's crazy.
Yeah. I really every aspect of the business. So I did 16 years in mixed martial arts before I came over to the motorcycle dark side. Right.
That's right.
And I started out just training and competing.
Yep.
Then I went to owning my own gyms. Then I went to owning promotions and signing deals with casinos. At one point, I had like 7 casinos across the Midwest.
Is that when you wore the nice fancy suit?
I did. I wore suits every day.
I don't think anyone could imagine you in a suit. With the
know.
jewelry.
We should pull up some old pictures.
The jewelry. You were like kind of like Mr. Vegas back then, huh?
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then I started paying my fighters. I paid my fighters really well for that time and day, because I had these big casino contracts. And they paid me good. Like,
so you ate well, stayed in nice suites, I'm sure, living large.
Of course, man. I stayed in like the suites that all the major entertainers would stay in. Like,
right.
You know, I mean, Kid Rock would stay in a suite one night. I'd be in it the next.
You went from a suite to camping under your bike. What a difference, huh? Yeah.
Homeless, man.
It's crazy.
Straight homeless. Mm-hmm.
Do you miss that? Do you miss that life? Do you miss that?
I don't.
No.
I don't even really watch fights unless I have a friend who, like, maybe I trained or trained with, who's like fighting main card UFC or something. I'll watch him, which I still have a bunch that still do. But other than that, no. I mean, I'm going to watch the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight.
Oh, I think that stuff is so. It's just for money. It's
100% for money.
I saw him at a Suns game. Him and his douchey brother.
Yeah.
Walking around with their in their shorts with their fancy rings but they were big celebrities. I mean, the Suns players were greeting them like
they're
fans.
Bigger celebrities than any one of the Suns players.
I mean, people gather and take photos. Yeah, but anyway, that's not my thing. But so what's the worst thing that, or something I might know about what you do? You have the perks. What's the downside?
The hours, the criticism.
Yeah.
I mean, the criticism.
I know you take it hard. I mean, you've talked about it. I mean, you take it personally.
I mean, I do. I don't let it affect me. I mean, I acknowledge it.
Yeah.
I think about it.
Sure.
But I don't let it affect me.
Sure.
Right? I don't let it hold me down. I don't let it slow me down. I use it for motivation. And that's probably one of the things I think when new people that get into the industry, I coach a lot of these people that people watch that they might think are competitors of mine. I do a lot of coaching with them, and I talk to them, and how do you handle business relationships, and how do you make the money, and how do you do this. And I spend a lot of time trying to help other people grow because, like you said earlier, I'm not in this forever.
Right.
I've got a small window. I'm the old guy in the group.
Have your audience is kind of plateaued?
Yeah, I mean, it's still growing, but it has, I would say, in the motorcycle space, probably plateaued. I've just started reaching out to other things.
Sure.
That I'm now trying to get those people into motorcycles.
Of course, that's awesome.
But. Yeah, I mean, I am still growing, but not near as fast as I used to.
Of course. I mean, that's just natural with anything, right?
But eventually it's going to dry up.
Right.
You know what I mean? I figure I probably got less than 5 years left.
Sure.
To make money, to make my main living at social media. And, people ask me that, like, well, do you make enough? My most common question is, I meet somebody, even last night, I met these guys who build, like, these pre-runner trucks or whatever. He's like, well, what do you do for a living? It's always difficult for me to answer because I'm in so many different things.
Right, you're diversified.
But the reality is my day job is social media.
Right.
I mean, that's what I work on every day. Yes, I own campgrounds and resorts, but at the end of the day, I have people that run those.
Right.
And I work on social media.
Right.
So I'm always like, YouTube, dude, social media. And they're just like, you make enough money to pay your bills like that? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, motherfucker, I got trucks and motorcycles and
good.
campgrounds. Don't worry about me, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's always the answer. Everybody, will you make enough money to eat like that? And it's like,
If you ask younger people that question, I bet you would be a different answer.
Completely different answer.
Oh, people like, our age, 40, 50, 60, they don't understand that this is like, for some people, look at the Paul brothers, right?
Yep.
I mean, they're hundreds of millions of dollars,
hundreds
right?
Of millions.
And counting. He'll probably get what, 50, 60 million just for fighting Tyson, I'm sure. Something crazy.
But is he going to win?
Who cares? I would take a hit from Tyson for $50 million. But
what does Ari think?
I think he'll win.
You think he's going to beat Tyson?
Yeah, because he's in excellent shape.
He is.
And I'd like Tyson to beat his ass.
Oh my God, everybody does.
But that's the whole compelling story there, right? That's why they're doing it, because they love to hate the guy. People hate the guy, but But I watch some of this stuff. Like there's this blonde Barbie or something, and she's driving expensive cars and jets, and she's got millions and millions of viewers, and it's like she's making millions. I mean, it's certain people that. Look at even Kylie Jenner. She was able to leverage her social to...
It's the new Hollywood, man.
Yeah,
Hollywood's dead.
It is.
Nobody even wants to be in Hollywood. You ask a kid now what they want to be.
They want to be an influencer.
Yeah, they don't want to be a Hollywood actor.
Right.
Hollywood, and they've lived in their own bubble for so long, and they're so out of touch with the average person.
Right.
And I think that's why the internet and the social media influencers have done so well, is because we can relate to the common people.
Of course.
And, we are just normal people who get a blip of attention.
Yeah.
Where, these Hollywood people, they live inside these circles.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And to their defense, I mean, listen, I can go around a lot of the country and nobody recognizes me.
Sure.
Unless it's a motorcycle event or something like that, of course, it's different. But I can go a lot of places and maybe someone might recognize me here or there at a gas station or a dinner, but in a day, maybe 1 or 2 people might recognize me.
Right. Well, unless you're in Tombstone.
Unless I'm in Tombstone, right? Or any motorcycle really.
We were with Yaffe. You were getting more engagement than Yaffe was there.
It's just a different time, right?
Yeah.
And and I do, like, I'll go to Mexico and people recognize me and stuff, and I'm like, shoot, like I'm on vacation.
Sure.
But I guess my point is those people in Hollywood couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? They're so recognizable
100%.
that they have to be engulfed in this circle of protection, and then that circle of protection takes you out of reality.
Right.
And now you're out of reality, and you're not in touch with people.
Right.
And now that is a formula for lack of growth, I think, in today's environment.
Sure. I wouldn't want to be in that position where I couldn't go out and just do something on my own. I mean, it's, you see that, like I was at in California at the Grove in LA, and Taylor Swift walked by me and circled by like 7 or 8 security. And people were hounding her. I mean, it's, to me, that is, it's just not
it's atrocious.
Worth it. Yeah, it's not worth it, you know. So what's a character trait you feel you need to work on with yourself? Something that maybe you're like, I need to work on that. It's not something I'm real proud of or happy about.
So I am notorious my entire life for being an abrasive communicator. I am not good at, as my dad would say, the fluff.
Okay.
I'm not good at the two
nuance.
positives and then a negative and then like I just
right.
I'm not strategic in that way. I'm too honest and blunt, and I come across abrasive. It's my tone, I think, a lot.
Sure.
And so I am constantly trying to find people that I can have around me that can help soften up my communications and my communicational skills, because I've burnt more bridges just because just kind of, I don't want to come across like pompous. It's not like I'm just saying the way it is and what's right. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, even if I'm trying to deliver something delicately, somehow it just comes out abrasively. And I don't know, man, my whole life. Girlfriends, friends, business associates, everybody complains that I don't deliver soft enough when I'm comfortable with them.
Right.
If I'm new and whatever, I'm super delicate with people. But once we become friends, or once we're through that new stage where I feel comfortable, I tend to be way too blunt, and I need to fix that.
Well, I think it depends on the situation, right? Like it's important to be honest with yourself and others, because you don't want to like say something that you don't mean. But I think it's probably more. And I haven't seen it. You and I are good friends, and I haven't seen that side. Now I've heard about it from other people,
saying, right?
Yeah, I've heard about it from folks, and I think it's misinterpreted as arrogance, or a lack of concern for the person, and some of it's you can't remember everyone you meet, right?
Well, and it's tough because people take things the way they want to take it. Like, I remember one incident with you where someone said that someone said they asked me about my book, or they asked me about my story.
Yeah.
And my story's...
It was one of our former marketing managers.
It was, yeah.
Let's be honest. He's no longer with us. But
he's not.
Not for this reason, but yeah.
No.
One of our marketing.
No, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to say I was right about the guy. So
touche.
But the truth of the matter was, he came to me and asked me some stuff about my life.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of preparing for a video, and I had people around me, and we were doing a bunch of stuff, and the timing probably wasn't the best. But nonetheless, I feel I gave him a very like, hey man, I left my business and I sold everything and I got on the road and I started traveling for charity. I wrote a whole book about it in much more detail, but that's kind of the short version of it. So that's how I deliver it to him. What he hears is, I wrote a book about it, go buy my book.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is part of the problem. You know what I mean? I have to be so careful, but I've learned from that. So now I'm always like super cautious of how I mention my book.
Sure.
Because I never want to come across like, I don't want to talk to you, go buy my book.
Right. Well, I think also, though, people nowadays are more sensitive and reactive than they ever were. And that's and it's just like, I've said stuff, and I'm very like careful.
Dude, you're the best.
But I still have people say to me,
You're the best.
I've had people say to me, that I upset them or
those people need to toughen up.
Well,
dude, you are the most. I have given you this compliment to you and to your wife. You are the most. I don't know if diplomatic's the right word, but you are so good at communicating, making people feel heard, thinking through things. Now you're very demanding, and you're not an easy person to work for.
That's all right.
I'm not going to say because you are
right.
you're the type of guy who'll be like, hey man, we're going to do this, and then by the time you're done, it's this. But it's all for the growth, and it's all for betterment, and you're very respectful about it. You're going to be like, hey man, I know it was just going to be an hour, but can we please, do 2 hours because
or 3 or 4
or 4 or 8, but because, and you explain it, and you make people want to join you on your journey of hard work, because you are one of the hardest working dudes I know in this industry.
Thank you.
But you're very good at delivering that in a kind way, where I'd be like, hey man, do we want success or not?
Right.
Like, let's do this.
Right.
You're going to be like, hey guys, I really think this will do good. You're just better. You're great.
I appreciate that. And we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but I was the other way when I was a school teacher, as you well know. And
my favorite part of you.
Yeah, I was a school teacher for 8 years, and I was an asshole, and I was abrasive, and I was cocky.
Really?
I was, and it got me in a lot of trouble with my principals, specifically. Because it was my way or the highway, and I didn't give a shit what anyone thought, and I said what was on my mind, and I paid the price.
How do you change? No, I don't feel that way. It's not my way or the highway. I don't feel that way. At least, maybe some people take it that way, but that is not what I'm intending.
Right.
Right.
I think it's more delivery for you. It's delivery. It's not what you say. It's not how. It's probably how you say it
and my tone.
But tone and delivery, you can say one. You could say the same thing about the book, for example, and one person says it, it's taken, one way. But again, and I think that's what I've learned is, if you want to get people to buy in, you have to put yourself in their shoes, right? And I think that's what I've learned is, would I want someone to talk to me that way to get me to do something or buy in? And so, but look, we all have areas that we're strong in.
You're just the nicest guy on motorcycles.
Well, I don't know about that, but I appreciate that. Thank you. So
can I tell you one thing?
Yeah, sure.
We said that my career here in this is going to be short lived.
Sure.
And part of the reason is going to be because I can't hold my bladder anymore.
Oh, you know what?
Can I use the bathroom?
Can I take a piss? Absolutely. Let's take a pee break. All right, so we literally just had to take a pee break because you and I have I think baby bladders. How many times a day do you pee, by the way?
I pee probably 20 times a day.
No way. You're full of shit. Seriously?
I don't know. I've never counted, but I'm going to say a lot.
Is it more recent or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm 46.
Yeah.
And I would say the last 6 years, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
What do you do? Because I have the same issue. I've peed. I've always been a frequent peer, but as I've gotten older, I go to a urologist. He wants me to do this procedure. My dad's had it done. But I'm on a plane for 3 or 4 hours. I pee 2-3 times easy. Once my seal's broken, forget it. What do you do on the motorcycle when you're leading a group and you have to pee?
So I have road captains, and we got headsets.
Okay.
I use the Cardo headset, and I call them up ahead, and I say, I'm pulling off to piss.
Okay.
I pull off to piss on the side of the road.
Yep.
And then I catch back up to the convoy at 110 miles an hour.
That's funny you mention that because when I go on my rides with the hamsters, we'll be zipping away, and I'm always the guy that has to pee, and they give me a hard time about it.
Yeah.
So now I have a technique where I can pull over, drop my pants while I'm on the bike, turn and piss without even getting off the bike.
It's
impressive.
That is impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive.
I think we need video footage of that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I get a little bit of drip once in a while on the seat or the jeans, but I have it down to science. And
that's pretty good, man.
Yeah, but I pee a lot. It sucks having to go to the bathroom all the time. I get up 2-3 times.
It's the worst.
A night to pee. It's does
the worst.
Suck.
It's the point where if I got big trips and big things coming, like today I drank a bunch of coffee because I was up all night watching the election.
Yeah.
And I was tired.
Yeah.
So I've drank so much coffee, I'm just constantly going. But I've got to the point where I'll just literally just limit my liquid intake just so I can make my rides.
Yeah.
Without having to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it where I've gone and then literally 10 minutes later I got to go again, and I'm
too.
what the hell?
Yeah,
it's frustrating. But
my doctor says it's maybe possibly from all the motorcycle riding for me.
Oh, because you're sitting there all the time. Yeah, yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So
football players get concussions.
There you go. Motorcycle riders.
Long distance motorcycles get weak bladders.
Yeah, that's right. They're prostate.
Not quite the same sex appeal.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny. Let's talk a little bit about motorcycles and like builders and stuff. Like who's the best builder you think of all time, and who's the worst builder of all time? Your opinion, of course.
Man, so the building scene isn't really my scene.
Okay, in your opinion.
Just a quick disclosure. Like there are a lot of builders out there I don't know or don't know what they have or haven't built. Okay. I know their name, don't even know what bike they built.
Yeah.
And builders have never been my scene. In fact, it's probably the scene I identify with the least.
Okay.
Them and the stunt guys, I just don't. That's just not my jam.
Okay.
So that's just my disclaimer.
Okay.
So if I don't say your name or whatever, it's. But I would say. I mean, we're talking about raw talent, not personality.
Yeah, just talent.
I just don't feel educated enough to make an opinion on this. I'm going to give one, but I honestly
just give us your opinion.
Don't feel educated enough. I think that Billy Lane does some really cool bikes.
Yep.
I really like a few of his bikes.
Yep.
I've never really met him in person. I've been in the same room as him, but I never went up and said hello, and neither did he.
Yeah.
I really do like his style though from the bikes that I have seen.
Yeah.
I think Indian Larry was amazing.
Yep.
I think when it comes to, I'm not a big bagger fan.
Yeah.
Like big wheel bagger.
Yeah.
I honestly, I got a nickname for him, and I kind of got myself in one of the hamsters one time. I got myself in a little trouble once.
What do you call him?
I call him a douche canoe. And I said, I didn't know he had one, and he was a hamster, and he had, I guess, several of these douche canoes. And
you're talking like the big front wheels.
Big front wheels, stretched out, bags scraping the ground.
I don't like those.
Right? I mean, to me, it's the equivalent of these guys that just have these overly huge monster trucks.
Right.
And, so I was in the back seat of the car, and I had a hamster in the front seat and a girl, and I was talking, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm like, what I want to do is I want to get little oars made. And on the oar, I wanted to say douche canoe. And I want to just go around and put them on the seats of all these guys with these outrageously obnoxious motorcycles that you would never want to ride more than, whatever distance.
Right.
But I never did that. I felt really bad.
Who's the biggest douche canoe builder?
I don't know.
There's one here. I'm not. It's not my friend Paul, by the way. Let's just put it out there.
No, Paul does some really cool stuff.
Paul doesn't do the big wheel stuff.
Not that big. He pushes the limits tastefully. Like his bikes are still pretty rideable.
Yeah, he's my favorite for baggers. Actually, everything. I mean, he's my
baggers,
guy.
He is
he's
phenomenal.
My good friend too. But I love his stuff.
I do love his stuff. But even more than I love his stuff, I love him.
Yeah.
As a person.
Yeah.
I would endorse Paul's stuff strictly for the sake of endorsing Paul.
Right.
Because I like Paul so much.
Right.
Like he's the most down to earth, friendly, easygoing.
Yep.
Like easy to carry. Like just.
You guys had a bromance, by the way.
It's not over.
I know. But the funny thing was, he was giving me a hard time before he met you for your fist pump. He was like, "Oh, what's up, bro?" Before he met you, and then all of a sudden you guys hang out and you're best buds at my legal conference. You guys disappeared and went and got hammered and had a good time and
absolutely hammered. Yeah. We ended up running into these guys who knew him, and we ended up in the bar, and they had watched the show. One of them was actually, I think, wearing one of his sweatshirts or something.
That's too funny.
And we just
in Savannah, Georgia, of all places,
and got just inebriated. I mean, we were beyond drunk.
Well, are you gonna relive that? We're all headed to Rocky Point tomorrow, obviously, right? For the Rocky Point Rally.
Drink too much, man.
Good luck with that. Going to Rocky Point, Mexico. I call that spring break for adults, motorcycle riders.
For adults, and it gets out of control, but.
So anybody that you think's got, even if you don't like their bikes, you just think they're not, maybe they're kind of not a great representation of the motorcycle.
I wish industry. I had something for you. I just don't have any bad blood there.
That's fine.
And I don't, just because I'm not educated enough, I just don't know enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
There's not many guys I can show or picture more than 2 bikes they built. So it's hard for me to say. I've just never followed the bike build scene.
Yeah.
Like I've never once seen any of the TV shows Paul was on.
Sure.
Or any of those other guys.
Right.
I've never been a bike build guy. I've always been like, where are we going?
What about, is there somebody in this industry that you think is a bad representation or that maybe should change their ways that you've dealt
I think
with?
there's probably a ton of us, and I'm probably I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, I love that you're asking this because I feel like it's such a great question, and I just feel so bad that I'm flat on it. I just don't have. I mean, I feel like there's segments, like there's groups of people, like, that are more difficult to get along with, like
Sure.
more ego, like frankly the builder scene, like builder scene would be one of those scenes where I can walk into, and it doesn't matter if they know who I am or not. They're not going to come up and say nothing to me. They're not going to.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they're just, it's very, to me from the outside looking in, it's very ego driven. Like,
yeah, a lot of them talk shit about each other. I'm not saying all of them do.
Very ego driven.
But I know most of them, and it is very ego driven. And again, most of them, again, Paul's great. He and I talk. He wants to be successful. But I've been on other builders, even here in Arizona. I'm not naming names, where they bash each other in their work product. And I just don't understand that because they're really not competing against each other, right? They each have their own kind of following and niche. I don't know, but
it's very egotistical, the building scene, and it's not my jam. Like, I always feel uncomfortable when I'm in the building shows and stuff like that, and which is weird to me because it's like, dude, if I built motorcycles, if that was what I did, which is not, but if it is what I did, I feel like I would want to connect with the people who rode motorcycles.
Of course.
Right?
Right.
But for some reason, those dudes just don't. I mean, they won't. I guess it feels like from the outside looking in, they're never going to be happy unless they're the coolest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Therefore,
you think a lot of them went into it for that reason? They wanted to be that. That's what drove them.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know enough of them or enough about it personally to say. Like, I can say guys like Paul Yaffe, definitely not.
No,
there's a guy who just loves the motorcycle and the motorcycle scene and the people.
Yeah.
And I feel like Paul Yaffe is to builders like what I am to riders.
I agree. I think that's probably why you guys get along so well, and that's why I get along so well with him and you. Is for that reason. I'm drawn to people that are, genuine, good at what they do, want to give back to others, and you're attracted to people that you're like. I was just at his shop yesterday for this funny thing we're going to be doing on upcoming podcasts, which I'm not going to, and you're going to be participating too. I don't want to ruin it for everyone, but anyway, I was there getting some parts from him for something we'll be putting on a future Motorcycle Mavericks podcast. And here's a guy that is still at the top of his game, and he wanted to show me his FXRP, FXR police bike that he's doing for the throwdown, the thing that, the event that every year a bunch of builders do. Was in Winslow. They're moving it, I think, to Jerome, where they, one year it's choppers, another one it's FXRs. But anyways, building this for this throwdown, and he was like a kid in the candy store. He was so happy. He wants me to obviously buy the bike when I'm done. It's going to be flashing with, lights. It's going to, he's going to make it kind of like a tribute cop bike, but that one that goes fast. But here he is, and he's working on the parts and the bike, and and he's still, that's what his passion is. It's just building bikes and customizing and coming up with cool parts, and it's still fun for him.
You can see it's fun for him.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah. He loves it, and
sure.
I'm sure I'll probably end up buying the bike when it's done and ready. But so let's talk a little about this industry that we're both in, because we've both done, let's be honest, we've both done well because of the motorcycle industry, because of people in it. In my situation, obviously, I don't like people getting in accidents. That's not what I want to see, is people get hurt and injured.
No.
But that's how we make our living, is representing riders who need help, who don't want to deal with the insurance companies and don't want to, have to get taken advantage of.
You don't want to see him get in an accident, but you do want to see him get compensated.
100%, and fairly, and get back on the road if they're able to. But so again, I'm very blessed that I've been able to be in an industry where I can help others and also make a living. Same with you. But let's talk about the industry a little bit. Where do you see Harley's struggling? Let's be honest. The dealerships are struggling. Interest rates are high. Inflation. We just had an election where people, have been frustrated because their money doesn't go as far as it used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see this industry, in the next 5 or 6 years? And do you think young people are going to get on bikes? Do you think, just what's your take? You're out there all the time. You deal with different people when it comes to the motorcycle industry and the future of it.
So I don't think that I have to be a fan of something to believe that it's going to happen.
Okay.
I am not a fan of this, but I thoroughly believe electric motorcycles are going to take over everything.
Agreed.
That is just the way it is. You know, I've got a 12-year-old son, and to try to get him to want to learn to work a clutch and shift gears and have a deal with a hot exhaust that's going to burn his leg, forget about it. You put him on an electric bike, he twists the throttle, he just goes, it stops. I mean, there's just no comparison. I mean, why would they want to get into that unless you can just sell the sex of it? And that's just diminishing, I think. So I think that there's a long, difficult road ahead for combustion motorcycles. I'm not a fan of that.
Nor am I.
Because I love the combustion. I love the engine underneath me. Like, I've ridden a lot of electric bikes, and I mean, they're awesome in bicycles, but in motorcycles, they just don't compare. Not performance-wise.
I mean, just they don't have a soul.
The
They don't
soul,
have
the feel.
Yeah. But that's our perspective, right? Not a young person's
Correct.
perspective,
Not because they don't have that attachment, right? That we
Right.
have. So I think that's a really difficult thing the motorcycle industry is going to have to navigate. Another thing I think is, you know, these younger riders. I will say there's a really hip crowd that's super photogenic of riders who are getting in these old bikes and riding them. And now those could really save motorcycling, but they ain't going to save the motorcycle companies.
No.
Because these guys in their 20s don't want a new bike.
Right.
They want an old shovelhead.
Right.
Or they want an old, you know, something like that.
That's like the Prowl. That's that event in Bisbee. It's become all the rage, like the Newborn Free. It's all those guys, right?
Yep. And they're super photogenic, and that shit spreads like wildfire over the internet. And let's just face it, the internet is everything.
Right.
If you can build a business or a brand that is internet sexy, that people are going to like and want and engage and share, you're going to grow. Right. And if you're trying to live off of your name or something like that solely, it's very difficult this day and age.
Yeah, you're right.
You're going to shrink margins, I guarantee you.
It's funny you mention that because where I live, there's like kind of like some hooligan kids riding around on electric motorcycles, zipping through traffic, creating all kinds of havoc. Maybe they're the future, future 1%ers or something. But these kids, they live on these bikes, and they're like little motocross type bikes, electric. And now some of the shit they do, they shouldn't be doing, like, throwing stuff at cars, right? But that's kind of shit I did when I was a kid. But my point is, these kids love these electric bikes and motorcycles. I have electric scooters. I've got one in my garage that goes 80 miles an hour. It's a scooter, stand-up scooter that I'm going to challenge a few people to race, on their motorcycles and their cars. But my point is, it's coming. I mean, electric cars are coming, whether you like it or not. Electric motorcycles. Yeah. And you're gonna if you're in the industry, you're gonna have to pivot. You're gonna have to, appeal to where the market has gone. And for young people, it's electric. And let's be honest, cars have evolved. I mean, some guys still want the 5-speed shifting, but when the car, has, like I'm a Porsche guy, when it has, a transmission that shifts quicker and better and more effectively than a 5-speed stick, it's evolution. And same thing with electric, right? They're faster, they're more responsive once they get the batteries lasting longer,
which they will.
It's going to happen, whether you like it or not. And so I think if we want to keep this industry going, and let's face it, the fun is being on two wheels, enjoying the open air, spending time with people. Mm-hmm. If that happens to be on electric bikes, I won't personally buy into it, but if it happens for young people, so be it. But I know groups like the MRF, Motorcycle Riders Foundation, which we support, is trying to keep these combustion engines going on the road, lobbying Congress, because look, it's still reasonably inexpensive motor transportation. It doesn't even the bikes like the Harleys aren't putting out nearly as much smog as cars. Mm-hmm. Right, but there's a bias against riders, and the government's trying to put restrictions on exhaust, restrictions on combustion engines. And so, if anyone is out there, this is a plug for the MRF, Motorcycle Riders Foundation. But go to the MRF website, make a donation. I personally donate, so as does Law Tigers, to the cause. Kirk Hardtail is their president, and they're trying to do good and keep us on the road and keep these motorcycles on the road for as long as possible. you know, which I think is important. I mean, I still, there's nothing like starting that engine and smelling the fuel and, you know, revving. And,
I agree.
You know, but it is going to happen.
For sure.
You know,
electric's the future. There's no way around it because it's the youth. If you control the youth, you control the future.
Right.
And the youth is controlled by electric.
Right.
Another problem I think that a motorcycle industry has is, frankly, the internet and video games. Like kids, when I was a kid, video games came out. Like when I was, I don't know, in my teens maybe. And they were a thing, and we did them, and they did take away from some of our outside time, but we still rode bicycles. We still, you know what I mean? We're out doing things.
Dirt bikes, three-wheelers, all that shit.
Yeah, man. I was 10 years old, and I had my BMX bike, you know, miles back into the woods, homemade dirt bike track, you know, dirt tracks, jumping and racing. And kids aren't doing that this day, not by the droves.
No.
So, you know.
Parents are too protective of them. That's
parents
part
are too
problem,
protective,
to be honest,
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so you got and then the internet. People are spending so much time on the internet and their phones.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So the best thing you can do, in my opinion, as a motorcycle industry, is capture as much entertaining content as you can on social media, because that phone is what's taking people out of motorcycles.
Right.
So you have to inundate it.
So let's flip it. Let's use social media in a way to get people
and you have
back
to inundate
on motorcycles.
It can't be just a little bit. I mean, you have to inundate it. You have to come with every angle possible. It can't just be guys touring. It can't just be stunts. It can't just be, you know, builders. I mean, you got to inundate every cool factor there is and try to connect with somebody.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to be looking at whatever Cardi B is doing or whoever else is out there.
Right.
And that's what's going to get their attention.
That's your competition.
That's your competition, right?
I think the builders, the manufacturers should be supporting bicycle, like Strider, for example. We're doing some stuff with them here, getting kids on bicycles.
Even bicycles,
Getting, you know, if I was in charge of, you know,
dirt bike scenes.
I would be putting out bikes, dirt bikes, anything with two wheels, even getting them on scooters. You know, just something to get them outside, enjoying nature and riding something on two wheels.
I agree.
I started on three wheels with 70 ATC. Then I went up to a bigger three-wheeler. Then I went to a dirt bike. You know, but I started like you on BMX bikes, skateboards, and BMX bikes when you're younger. And once you get that bug or that itch, then you want to, you know, as you get older, you want to transition into bigger motors, bigger bikes, different bikes, and so I think something, there's got to be more investment in getting kids, to your point, off their phones and getting them out there. And if they are on their phones, making it super compelling and interesting so that they want to try that out.
For sure.
You know,
I think these big companies should be investing way more into youth motocross sports.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, what would it take for a company like Harley Davidson or Indian to go build 3 tracks in every state?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And have a whole Harley Davidson league.
Put together a circuit of these kids.
Right.
Get them on these bikes. Get them out there doing dirt biking or whatever. Even if you're not selling dirt bikes, it don't matter.
Right.
You're getting them on 2 wheels.
100%.
I just think that those would be much better investments than Jason Momoa or you know, things like this, because those things carry no long-term gain.
Let's talk about that for a second. You know, I know. Look, my buddy Jason Sims has gotten some bikes from Momoa. And look, Momoa is a motorcycle guy. Give him props. He likes bikes, and he's doing some cool stuff. But to me, it's like, why, if you're Harley, would you do? I mean,
You know why? You know why?
Tell me why.
Because the person making that decision wants to be at dinner with Jason Momoa.
Interesting. Yeah.
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 Because the person that's making that decision wants to be at the parties with all the Hollywood celebrities.
Yeah.
And wants to be in that scene taking pictures.
Sure.
And they're living their best life. They're living their dream.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what's best for the brand.
Yeah.
Because that relationship is not what's best for the brand. I mean, sure, put them on bikes, do whatever.
Right.
But I guarantee you, no kids are going out and getting into motorcycling because Jason Momoa is riding a bike.
Right. Is that program still going on, by the way?
I have no idea.
I know they did the Hawaiian shirts and they did Momoa this and that.
Dude, they should be investing in their community, man.
Right.
You need to be. I mean, listen. If we're not learning anything about the way things are shifting in this country, you need to be investing in your communities.
You're absolutely
You know what I mean?
right.
You need to get out of that bubble, and you need to invest in your community. And that's what motorcycle industry needs to do, in my opinion.
It's funny you mention that because
yes, I will take the job as CEO.
There you go. All right.
Okay,
well, that may happen sooner than you think.
I will take the job, and we will invest in our communities.
Yeah,
we will make motorcycling great.
That's right. Make motorcycling great again, right?
Yes.
So it's funny you mention that because I go to lawyer conventions and lawyer events with Dave, who was just in here earlier, my VP of Business Development, and when we go to these lawyer events, they have us on panels talking about how important it is to be part of your community. How do you reach people, if you're a law firm, in your community in an effective way so that, if they do need your services, they're aware of you and they're more likely to choose you for someone else who hasn't invested in the community, right? And so I think that applies to any industry, to anything you do. If you're not giving back, if you're not part of that community, then you're not in that community. You can't expect to reap the benefits of that and the value of that. And it's work. I mean, we put in,
it's work.
It's you do it, we do it. You have to, and you got to be authentic. You can't just go in saying I'm going to do this and expect a return on my investment or return.
Right.
It's got to be genuine, where you enjoy helping others, and then, perhaps it's some way it'll come back to you, but that can't be the driver.
That can't be the driver. It will come back to you.
Yeah.
Right. That's the way. Karma's a real thing.
Sure.
And what goes around does come around.
Sure.
Sooner, sometimes not as soon as you want.
Right.
But what goes around does come around.
Sure.
And things do come back to you. I widely believe that. I had no drivers in starting my career for where I sit today.
Sure.
Right? I would say probably one of the, if not the most successful motorcycle social media people.
Sure.
If we're talking financially, maybe not the largest channel, but
right.
Leveraging it and financially, I've done very well with it. It's not because I had this great strategy to do that.
Right.
It's because I was authentic and I gave my all, literally everything I had to this community, and it gave back.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
That's just the way the world works, man.
It's true.
And maybe not every time, but if you're consistent enough with it, it will.
Talking about that, I want to give a shout out to your father, who I don't know if people realize played an integral role in you becoming where you are today, right?
Dude, such a thing, man, right? Like when you have someone, my dad was like a cowboy hat wearing, pickup truck driving, hands in the dirt, yes I can kind of guy. And when you end up in a car accident in a F-250, okay, so everybody's like, oh, you spent all these miles on a motorcycle, yeah, but my dad was quadriplegic for his entire retirement driving an F-250.
Right.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Right.
So he couldn't do anything, and he felt small. And that's a horrible way for a man like that to feel. So I got him a computer that had a voice operated system and a headset, and he sat and called all my tour stops ahead of me and set them all up and got everything going. And he got up every morning and he worked all of my tours every day for years.
Yeah.
And it was a huge part of my success.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we gave him a shout out.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yep.
It was great to have him involved. So, what's next for you? We've talked, like I said, we've talked about, what you're doing now. We're, 5 years from now, you're saying you probably won't be doing this well, let's back up. Between now and the next 5 years, tell me you're with Harley for a couple of years. What's your deal with Harley, and what are you planning on doing over the next few years?
Sure. Yes, I'm with Harley Davidson, but not exclusively.
Yeah, and I know you're, in full disclosure, you're with me too.
Law Tigers, yep.
You're financially and otherwise.
Multi-year deal with Law Tigers.
Yeah.
Yep. We're gonna, but you have an exclusive with Harley.
Thank you.
Harley Davidson, I do not. So you other law firms.
So Russ Brown, if you're listening, don't call him for the 80th time and try to steal him from me.
Oh man, no kidding. Yeah. I do get a lot of different law firms reaching out to me, and I think most of them just don't understand and just want to connect and are looking for ways to connect with their communities, and that's a good thing. But I do have an exclusivity with you. I do not with Harley Davidson, so I do exclusive campaigns with Harley. So,
right.
And that's what I've really broke it down to. So I've done the thing where I did a year-long deal with manufacturers, all different manufacturers. And now I'm to the point where I just do one-off deals. So I'll do like, hey, I'm going to take this trip. It's going to be this long, and we can use your bike and market and promote your bike through this, and I'll ride your machine. And we just do it off like that. So I got the convoy that I do every year with Harley Davidson. It's where I ride to all their dealerships. Yep. I'm kind of like Forrest Gump on a motorcycle. People jump in.
Run, Adam, run.
Yeah, and then they join me for a day, 2 days, a week, however long they want to join.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are taking lifetime road trips they've dreamt of their whole life.
Yeah.
On this convoy.
Yeah.
And we're raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project in the process.
Nice.
So in the last 2 years, we've done almost $1 million for the Wounded Warrior Project on that campaign alone. Which is remarkable. I do a lot of motorcycle parts development I'm getting into quite a bit, which is really, I think, is going to be my big transition.
Yeah.
More and more parts development. I just think there's a lot of room for growth. Kind of like we were talking earlier with the builders. Sometimes when you've got the mindset to build and put in the hours that it takes to build,
yep,
it limits your ability to go out and ride.
Right.
And, so...
You're like the crash test dummy, right? You're out there riding and experiencing what works and what doesn't, right?
Exactly right. So I've been partnering up with companies that have the ability to build and the engineer and the manufacturer. Sure. And I've been bringing them my ideas and my insights, and we've been working together to put products to the market that I think truly are superior to anything else on the market.
You got some, like Kraus. I know you got Kraus. He makes some great stuff, right?
Kraus is remarkable. That guy is an absolute genius.
Yep.
He is really a mad scientist. Yeah. And so we've got a T-bar setup there that works on the new bikes. It gives you a T-bar setup, which is far superior for performance. I don't care what anybody says. There's just no question about it. Yeah. It's not even negotiable.
Right.
It's scientifically just better. And we've got a setup that allows you to see your entire gauges, and you can adjust for comfort, right? So that's a huge thing. Like, bars are an expensive, I know. Yeah. Like, I ran through some shoulder issues, and I went through like 4 sets of bars before I was comfortable. Well, that's an expensive play. Yes. Because you got to set them all up, you got to wire them all up, you got to get everything going.
Right.
And it's, I'm not going to quote what these shops are charging, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
So I got a set of bars that are pretty much infinitely adjustable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so you get one set of bars, you set them up for you, and you don't have to worry about going through multiple sets of bars.
Does anyone have adjustable bars out there?
They do have adjustable bars, just not like ours.
Okay.
We've got a few things that are unique. Okay, so like, well, I don't want to turn this into like me selling.
No, I understand.
Go check them out online.
Yeah.
We do some things that nobody else is doing, like isolating the vibration at the top of the bar rather than at the bottom of the bar,
right,
which limits your leverage, right?
Yeah.
When you got the soft point at the bottom of the bar, that's input you're putting to the front wheel.
Yeah.
That's not making it to your front wheel.
Right.
When you put it up here, you got much less leverage.
Yep.
You get more input to your front wheel.
Yep.
It's a much better performing, noticeably better performing bar. And then the way they adjust, nobody else is doing that. And then being able to see the screen and all being aluminum. Yeah. And 100% made in America.
Yeah, no, that's
all
great.
Cool stuff.
So you got that. You got the dry bag you sent me, which is awesome.
I got use luggage.
Those on off-roading all the time. Andy from Champa had a whole line of stuff he did, and I use it all the time. Now you've got a really cool bag that Lionel, by the way, wants.
I think I get you one, Lionel. I'll get you one, Lionel. It is the best touring motorcycle bag on the market. I truly believe it.
We're going to the Himalayas next year. He and I with Bear, who does the cool knives, and he's going to take us on a trip to the Himalayas, so we're going to use your bags.
Cool.
You should just come with us.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I'll get you the info, but
give me the info.
Yeah,
I've never met that Bear guy. I've heard about him.
Yeah, he's Paul works with them. We're doing knives for our marketing managers with our logo on them. Paul's had them done for the Throwdown. Bear. Bare knuckle knives. They're awesome knives.
He seems like the real deal.
He is. Mm-hmm. So you got that. You got the bag. You got the tool. You got the parts coming. And then
seats, floorboards. I mean, just try to manufacture.
You become your own motorcycle manufacturer.
Well, but this is what I'm talking about earlier with like the builders who won't come up and talk to me or whatever. I don't believe that I need to be the best at everything. Right. There's a saying that says, "Master of." How's it go?
Yeah, it's a master of. It's jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, but you know how that saying ends?
What's that?
Still better than a master of one. Jack of all trades, master of none. Still better than a master of one.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if people realize it, but you obviously make a good living off of these parts. You're working to promote them, develop them.
Mm-hmm.
But the social media thing is just a small part of your income, right? I mean, really, and a part of your.
I mean, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's such a hard thing to quantify because everything I make is affected by my social media.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So yes, I own some resorts. I just got this new one in Eureka Springs. Literally, in October, we broke the best numbers that resort's ever done in the history. It's been open. It's been open for like, I don't know, 30 years.
Congrats, that's awesome.
So we broke the best annual numbers. It was only October. We said 2 months to go.
And you sold, Oklahoma's done, right? Finally, Oklahoma's sold.
I did not sell Oklahoma.
Oh, you didn't?
I did not.
It fell through.
Well, it did. The SEC came in and seized these people's money.
What?
Yeah, like $3.7 million seized from them.
This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Yes.
That's why when
well,
I
it's
talked
been
to
a
you on
mess.
the phone, you were in your cabin still.
Yes.
Or your house.
My house. So now I put my house up for sale.
Okay.
I did just go into contract and it's in escrow, so it looks like the house is sold.
But you're still going to own the campground.
I still am going to own the campground, but they are buying a piece of it from me. We're going to partner on it. People are buying the house.
Okay. Different from the guys that...
Completely different. Those other guys, I ended up in a lawsuit with them because...
Oh, my God.
Because I eventually said, okay, I'm out. And they were like, no, you have to sell it to us. And I'm like, I'm not selling it to you no more, guys.
Wow.
I'm like, you guys got these kind of problems. Well, because I was financing them. I'm like... I was carrying the note on over $1 million.
Yeah, you didn't want to do that, and then they default.
And they're getting money stole by, you know what I mean, stole by or not stole, but seized by the SEC. Yeah.
Wow.
So I pulled out of that deal.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Ended up in a pretty big. I should have called you because I could have used a break on my legal fees.
Well, I could have got you something that got you a little bit of a discount.
That wasn't expensive.
Expensive.
It was expensive.
Lawyers, hourly rates on lawyers is not cheap.
On something like that, especially back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's news to me.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I didn't know that. Well,
it's been a mess.
So are there days, by the way, where you're just like, fuck, I do not want to get up and ride, or I don't want to get up and do this social media thing? I mean, does that happen, and if so, how often?
It does happen.
I just want to
usually
stay in bed and watch TV, or I just want to stay at the house. I don't want to do this. Do this right now.
I'm pretty blessed because I don't have to accept anything I don't want to do.
True.
Unfortunately, I don't know next Tuesday how I'm going to feel. So sometimes I'm still stuck doing things I don't want to do. I book it today, and then Tuesday I'm like, I wish I wasn't.
I wish I would have done that.
Yeah, but I've kind of
not Rocky Point. I hope
I've learned. No, I love Rocky Point Rally. I really do.
I knew you're gonna when you because I told you. I'm not trying to take credit. I'm just saying. I told you about this event years ago. Like, you got to come. You're gonna love it. It's like it's the crazy.
You can take credit.
You get a half Mexican nationals, half.
It's wild.
It's like the weirdest amalgamation of.
It's amazing event.
And people. It's cool. But anyway, go ahead.
Amazing event.
Yeah.
I know the things I don't like now, and I steer clear of them.
That's smart.
Smart.
Yeah.
And typically, when I am doing something and I'm feeling like I don't want to, I would say 75% of what I do says some sort of aspect of charity to it.
Sure.
So I just suck it up because it's charity.
Right.
Kind of like I wasn't going to ride in this morning because it was 50 degrees when I left.
I know. You sent me that text. I'm like, this is a guy that's like been through toil and rain, and he doesn't want to ride here. And so I said, Adam, it's actually 55, not 50.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to because it's like I don't have to if I don't want to. Like I'm going to do enough trips that I'm committed to.
Right.
That I'm going to have to ride through that shit.
Right.
If I don't have to.
Why do it? Right.
Why
jump in a car and come here?
Right. If there's
you did ride, full disclosure.
But I did ride. Yeah, I ended up changing my mind. I got my car, I sat down, I got back out of my car, and went and got on my bike.
Well, it did save us about an hour or two going back and forth, so that'll definitely help with efficiencies and time. But I always wonder that. Like I genuinely get up in the morning, and it's very rare that I'm like, fuck, I just want to go back to bed.
No.
I have those. My dad even came into me 2 days ago, and he's getting up there in years. Obviously, he loves you. Came and said hi to you, obviously, but he even said to me, you ever have times where you wake up and you're just like, I said, melancholy? He says, yeah, just melancholy. I said, yeah. I said, that happens once in a while, but I go, I just suck it up and either go to the gym or get on my motorcycle and and then once I start moving, I feel better. But I don't care what you do. I'm sure there's instances in everyone's life where they want to say, fuck it, I don't want to do this today, or I need a break.
Writer's block is my biggest struggle.
Writers?
Like coming up with something creative today.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got to post something.
So many fucking times, right?
Yeah,
How do you make it unique and interesting?
Yeah.
That's hard.
It does get hard.
That's hard. We're doing this. We're going to be doing this podcast. Like I said, Lionel and I, we have one on the B2B side, which is with lawyers as well, separate than this, called Asphalt Advocates. But that's going to be my challenge: is how do we do something and make it interesting, unique, different, so we don't fall in that same pattern of, just the same shit being regurgitated. But I assume with you, the same thing. Like, how do you do something to make, right? What's the motivation? How do you do that?
Man, inspiration from other people's stuff, look, get ideas, ask friends, talk to people. I mean, it gets tricky and it gets exhausting. Like I can spend 2 hours a day just coming up with what I'm going to post that day.
Got it. Interesting.
And so, the post might only take me a half an hour to put up or to capture, but figure it out. What's it going to be? What's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want to just be pointlessly posting.
No.
And what's the agenda? Balancing, endorsements and stuff people, are excited to see is a delicate thing.
Sure.
And that's one thing that I've really learned in this business, and you guys have always been great about, but a lot of other companies, I've left companies that I like their products, I like who they were, but they just never understood that I was not an infomercial for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they just could never get it out of their head. They're like, well, we're paying you. I'm like, yes, you're paying me, but not to be an infomercial because you won't want to pay me no more because nobody will give a shit.
100%.
You know what I mean? 100%. So keeping strong, and there's so many new people coming into this industry that don't understand that.
Yeah.
And will be like, okay, yeah, I'll do this for you over and over and over, and for nothing more than a pat on the head.
Right.
It makes it pretty hard for guys like me to keep those relationships and tell those people you're looking at it wrong.
Right.
You've
been doing this now. You said, how many years exactly have you been doing social media?
Last month was my 10-year anniversary.
10 year, okay. So you're thinking maybe another 5 years.
Maybe.
Ish.
I mean, I think I'll always do social media to some extent.
Okay.
I think 5 years, it will no longer be my full-time gig.
Gotcha.
I'll do it just for hobby, just for fun. I may not post for a month. I don't care. Right?
I mean, now you post, how often are you posting now?
Every day. I mean, multiple times a day, every day.
Do you feel like you have to do that?
Yeah, for sure. That's the formula, baby. Yeah.
You hear that, guys? Every day.
It is true.
So, do you think you can keep it interesting for another 5 years?
Yeah, I think so.
How? What does that look like?
Well, I think it looks like branching into other things.
Okay.
I think for me, I'm doing some classic car stuff now.
Cool.
That I'm super excited about and I'm passionate. And I think as long as you're finding passion in what you're doing, you can keep it interesting.
Yeah.
I think that, doing some different, I'm getting into these older motorcycles.
Yeah.
That's all new for me.
I love that.
I just got my first shovel turned into a Springer.
Nice.
And my videos did huge numbers.
You like customizing that stuff though, don't
I
you?
do.
Not leaving it.
Yeah, but not wild.
Right.
Not like collectors. None of my shit's collector. Like even my Trans Am, right? It's total driver.
Yeah.
The collector.
I saw one of those at Bear Jackson for sale, by the way. I thought about you.
Yeah.
They go for a lot of money. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that thing worth?
Mine.
Yeah.
85,000.
Fuck. For the Smokey and the Bandit car. Yeah. Nuts.
Yeah.
How about you were doing off-road stuff? Did you kind of give that up, like the Jeep crap, or?
No, I'm still doing some stuff like that, but more ATV, UTV market. I think that's hotter. I really did enjoy the Jeep stuff, but it just never took traction for me.
Interesting.
So
why do you think?
I don't know. I think the ATV stuff's just so hot right now. Yeah. I think that whole segment, the full-size truck off-road stuff is a very niche, maybe even more niche than motorcycles.
Yeah.
Where the ATV stuff is just growing so fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah, I have a Can-Am. I love those.
Yeah, man. I've had every side-by-side you can imagine. And
I rolled one with my wife at the dunes.
Oh, my God.
Divorced me.
That's scary, man.
Yeah.
They're dangerous.
They are, but they're fun. I mean, it's to me, going on the dunes, you feel like it's like a roller coaster ride. Just don't do it at night unless you know what you're doing.
I came this close to ending my whole UTV experience on my resort, the K River Campground, the first day I opened.
How so?
I had a lady flip a side-by-side and cut 2 fingers off right on my property.
You told me that.
Yeah, and then she tried to sue me.
That's unbelievable.
She was a paralegal.
Trying to be a lawyer?
She tried to sue me, man, but my insurance company actually did good.
Yamaha had that issue when they first came out with the side-by-sides where people were putting their hands out and losing fingers, and that slowed, from what I read, that slowed the whole trajectory of side-by-sides down because of the liability and issues. Now, obviously, they made up for it, lost time, but if people don't realize when you do that, you're supposed to really put your arms to hold on. You don't put your hands, but it's, I guess, a natural reaction to put your hand out. But I grew up on 3-wheelers. Those things, they stopped.
Death traps. Yeah,
but I loved them, but now they obviously stopped making them. They went to 4-wheelers because of that.
Yeah.
But I remember getting up on 2 wheels, going in the. I grew up on a public golf course, so I'd take it in the water and float and pull my buddies with boogie boards behind me.
Yeah.
But that was my fondest memories growing up, was riding when I was 8 years old, I got a 3-wheeler, 70. I have a photo still of me on it. I used to race my mom down the street in my 250R to see how fast. She doesn't remember it, but I remember it. doing like 80 miles an hour at 13 years old. Just see how fast I get that 250R going. That's, I think, why I have this need for speed and riding fast.
You are a fast rider. I put a lot of miles on with you, and I always get to bang fast when I ride with Ari.
I know. It's to me, it's just the adrenaline rush, and I love. Obviously, I love riding long distance, but to me, you, me, Paul, there's a group. Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually behind Nick when he crashed coming down the hill, and we were going a little too fast around a turn. I slowed down a little more than he did, but you still got to be careful. It's it's dangerous.
Yeah,
that's what we do. Represent people that unfortunately have been in accidents. If you can avoid it, but still that thrill of riding and just going fast. I love it. It's a blast.
Yeah,
it's a blast.
It's wild.
So we talked a little bit. We'll wrap it up here in a minute. We talked a little bit about kind of what's going on now. 5 years, you said, doing it less, more campgrounds.
Yeah.
Any other
more
hobbies?
Resorts, more parts.
Yeah.
No, man, I just want to make some really rad parts, own some really cool resorts. My retirement looks like 5 resorts across America.
Yep.
A nice camper.
Yep.
A bike at each resort.
Yep.
And I chase the sun. As the sun moves west, I move west. As the sun moves east, I move east.
Yeah.
And I chase the good weather between my places, hang out with rad riders from the area, tell stories over bonfires, and maybe stay whiskey drunk on like a murdered out golf cart.
That sounds like fun. I know you talked maybe Colorado, maybe Arizona, right? Those are
I do want Arizona. Yeah. I would consider Colorado, but I really want Arizona. Somewhere between Phoenix and Flag.
Yep.
Ish. I really do want something there. And then Tennessee for sure. So right now I've got Oklahoma, Arkansas. I'd like to get Arizona, Tennessee, and then maybe like a Florida.
Florida, interesting.
Something on the beach maybe.
Yeah. I know a lot of guys will like buy these, like a buddy of mine, Flash. I don't know if you know him. He's in the
I do know Flash.
He's got like a little like pad in Florida that he owns, and he basically, it's got like a little palapa, and it's like parked there with your RV, and you're there for like 3-4 months. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think on the beach in Florida is definitely a good spot. It'd be my last spot.
Yeah. Did you like that rally, by the way? Be honest.
Which one?
Daytona rally?
No.
Why not?
No riding.
Yeah.
It's just strictly a party. I haven't been to Daytona in years.
Yeah.
Haven't gone.
It's a little underwhelming, that event.
It's a lot of partying, but it's a lot of partying, but when you compare it to a party like a Rocky Point where we're going right now, it's just not the same.
Right.
And then, the thing is, I do want to give a shout out to the Daytona Harley Davidson because they are really
great. Yeah,
a phenomenal dealership.
Great dealership.
And that whole team out there and the people that put that on, they do a phenomenal job. It's just not my scene.
Yeah. For me, I think, I know we do a lot of rallies. You do a lot of rallies. I still enjoy Sturgis personally, and you and I have ridden through the Black Hills there. I still enjoy the diversity of those rides. Is there anywhere else in the country that, like?
I think the Bikes, Booze, and Barbecue is probably my favorite rally at this point.
Is it? What is that? I know you campground down the road, but what? Why?
Well, but I just got that. It's been my favorite rally for a long time.
Why so?
I got my campground because I like that.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. It's just phenomenal riding.
Yeah.
Big turnout. It's 400,000 bike rally, and just the riding's so good. And I like rallies where they spread out across a community, and I go an hour this way to this town, or an hour that way to that town, and I got good riding all in between. And the Ozark Mountains are just hands down some of the best riding in America. Beautiful. I mean, they just are.
Yeah. And Pig Trail, they're great.
Pig Trail, Harley Davidson is a great host of that event. They do a phenomenal job supporting it.
Yep.
I like the riding rallies more than anything. Now, Rocky Point is definitely not a riding rally.
No, that's a drinking rally.
But it's just the level of, I don't want to say this in a bad way because I don't mean in a scary way, but in a fun way, the level of lawlessness.
It's true. It's like the old school rallies of the 70s, right? It's like drinking, partying, burnouts.
Right.
On the ocean.
Yeah, if you want to ride your bike up the sidewalk, I mean, you're going to, you're not getting arrested, right?
You short of like shooting somebody.
Yeah, violence.
You can piss in public. You can puke. You can drink your guts out.
Leave your clothes on or off. Don't matter.
Yeah, flashing.
Just don't be violent.
Don't be violent. I like that rally also because it's got like that Malecon Main Street where it gets backed up. You have people in the road.
Oh my God!
You got people along the bar.
It's like New Orleans. You got all the tiers.
Like New Orleans.
You're up
That's
top. You're looking down. It's
yeah.
just jammed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Mardi Gras on steroids for motorcycles.
You're right. My dad and I came up with a tagline. It's the greatest motorcycle fiesta south of the border.
Yeah, it is.
And seriously, and it's literally like.
Although there is another one, Malecon or something like that.
You mean event or location?
Event.
Mazatlan. I've never been.
Me neither. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Paul said he went one year. We'll have to go to Mazatlan. I'll tell you what, the Mexican riders are fucking hardcore.
They are badass.
Party. They come in big groups. They listen to music.
They're
they
fun.
Dance. They're fun. It's. I mean, it's funny. My wife was telling me her father, who's Mexican, is like they actually have motorcycles and ride in Mexico. She's like, yeah, Dad. And I go, people ride everywhere, and these people ride and they have fun, and they come from all over that region. The multiple states that in that region, and you got to give a shout out to Oscar who put the event on.
Yeah.
I mean, he owns a hotel and a bitchin' like RV park on
the
water.
Yeah, he does.
And
he's a good dude, and he's a real rider.
He's a rider.
He's a legit rider.
Across Europe,
for
across
sure.
Mexico.
Yeah.
He got in a bad motorcycle accident in his 60s. Got back on.
Yep.
He's no spring chicken. I think he's in his 70s now, and he
looks good for 70.
He
though.
looks great, and he looks like he should be in like one of those movies, like,
yeah.
All suave, but super nice guy, great host.
Super nice guy.
I'm looking forward to
smart guy too.
Smart guy. This weekend's gonna be fun.
It is gonna be fun.
We got a bunch of bike builders. We got a lot of riders. We're starting at Stubbs. You're leading a cool ride. It's gonna be. I'm looking forward to it, and we got a cool little condo on the water. We're gonna hang out, have some drinks, and just get to have some fun with friends. That's what it's all about, and have a nice ride going and coming.
And it's so natural for us, but it's amazing. Like I post about this. It's amazing how many people write on there. There's no way I would go to Mexico.
I know.
Let's do this. You're going to go, oh, I hope you don't love your bike. It's like, dude, the media has got in people's heads so bad.
It is fucking ridiculous.
They got people scared to drive down to the free zone of Mexico. Dude, the free zone of Mexico, they're not, listen, I hate to tell you, but they do not want to mess with Americans there because Americans are paying the bills.
100%.
I'm not saying cartels are good, okay?
Right.
I'm not saying cartels are good, but I am saying they are pretty good businessmen.
And they stay away from that area.
They stay away from that area. And if they own something there, they want our money.
Right.
They're not going to come down there and mess with you.
No, they do.
People just don't understand it.
No, they don't. And it's my biggest frustration is, you're going to Mexico, like you can get insurance.
Yeah,
man. Motorcycle.
And not that you even, I mean, I get it, but I don't know anybody who's ever gotten anything stolen down there.
No. It's more to protect you if you hit somebody there. You want to make sure you have coverage so you don't. But it's an hour over the border. Once you get over the border, it's from Phoenix. It's about 2.5 hours to the border, maybe and another hour once you cross the border. And as soon as I get over the border, the whole vibe changes. It's like
it is
party mode, have a good time.
People don't care. There's less stress.
Have some tacos. It's pretty cool event. And it's funny because a lot of people just don't know about it. It's more regionalized, California, Arizona, Texas.
It really is.
But hopefully we can make it big. It's actually one of the few rallies that's gotten bigger and more popular between the Mexican contingent and the U.S. contingent.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a fun time. We got Cruzy coming down.
It is a fun time.
Cruzy Originals. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun. We're doing a parade.
That guy's remarkable.
He's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, he is. He is remarkable.
He's done
and a nice guy too.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, and he's got a huge. I've
young following.
I go to the gun club down the street I belong to, and a guy saw my plate, Lot Tire. He's like, "Oh, I see you on Cruzy." Because Jay, to his credit, my manager here, has become very friendly with him. So have I, and we sponsor their stunt team.
Yeah, he seems genuine.
He's doing a badass event here during Arizona Bike Week. He started doing it.
I went to it.
Did you went? Yeah, and he's going to make it bigger and do 2 or 3 days.
The low riders and shit.
Yeah,
it was cool. It was super cool.
That's the kind of stuff we need. We need guys like him.
For sure.
And the guy he partnered with, who has a big Hispanic following, low riders. It's bringing different cultures together. They still have a love of motorsports and community, and making it even bigger and better because you bring these different communities and cultures together. And we need more guys like him that understand what needs to be done. So it's not the same boring, events, the same vendors, the same. I mean, you go to these rallies. Let's be honest. It's the same shit. It's the same vendors. The same concept. We need new stuff to attract riders, young and old, that want to come to events, not just do the same bullshit every day.
Without doubt. Yeah, it needs change. The industry needs change.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you're right back to like how I said I want to develop parts. It's like I look at the parts; they're all the same parts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all the same stuff. Like it needs development. And I think the industry as a whole needs that. I think we need to get more into community-based and do more fun stuff and start reinventing and get people back out there riding. And, like, full circle, back riding to Mexico. I mean, I'm sorry, but you cannot listen. If you like to ride motorcycles and you like to travel and you're scared to go to Mexico, you are listening to the wrong people.
100%.
Find me 10 people who took that trip, came back and told you it was dangerous.
Right.
Don't listen to the people on the news who's never even made it, who are reading some script for some stupid agenda.
Absolutely.
Use your own head, put your leg over your bike, and go for a ride.
Well said. And most of those people that have gone to Mexico, I guarantee you, once they go once, so many of these people have gone years and years.
Yeah.
I like going, and there's a bunch of rallies that I don't like going to because they're the same boring bands and vendors.
It's just so different down there, though.
It's different, and I think that's, we need to figure out what can we do to make events more enjoyable, more fun, so that you can bring the community together, whether it's on a large scale or even on a small scale, more local. I know you are doing stuff at your campgrounds, which is great. But I think, and you when in Oklahoma, you had some great little things with 200, 300, 400 people, and it's all in the campground, and it's
our biggest event there is about 3,000 people, which is still a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
To what these other things are doing. But yeah, this is Stubborn American Rally. We're still doing that out there every year. Yeah, it's still happening.
You still have small. I mean, you'll have smaller.
We have all kinds of small ones too. Yeah, a couple hundred people.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I think we need to do more stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people hold their own events out there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm just a venue. You know what I mean? They come with their motorcycle clubs or groups, and they host their own events, and we're just the venue for them, which is the ideal situation.
Right.
You know,
right. Yeah.
And I mean, we got it with vans and everything else, but yeah, I think investing in community is big, and I think you need to quit being scared of Mexico. I think
we need to quit being scared of a lot of shit. It's not just Mexico. It's scared of riding, scared of living, scared of
hurting someone's feelings.
It's like,
what happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. What happened to that?
I think I don't know.
It's lost art.
It's lost, and I think we need to figure out a way, and in the motorcycle community, it's like that's what I love about it. People say what they feel, do what they want to do, live free.
For the most part, yeah.
I think, for the most part. There's always exceptions, but I think people could learn a lot from folks that are into riding and into living free and just being sheltered and being afraid. That's no way to live. I can't do it. I can't do it. So
it's not. I just did a video. It scored really well, and actually, I think I might have been wearing a Law Tigers hat in it. But I just told people, I said, today's the youngest you're ever going to be for the rest of your life.
Yep.
So do something with it.
Yep.
Because I promise you, 20 years from now, you'll give me everything you own to be the same age you are today.
100%.
So why are you going to invest all your money in climbing this ladder, and all your time in climbing this ladder, just so you can wish you would have used your time more wisely?
Yeah, my wife and I, we travel a lot because of the same. I don't want to do it when I'm 75, 80 years old. There's a guy that spoke at a convention I went to. He's married to the woman that founded Spanx. And this guy's name is Jesse. I forgot his, Spanx. But anyway, he's a successful businessman in and of himself. And he spent time with monks. He spent time with David Goggins. And this guy said, when you start looking at how much life you have left, he's like, if you're 50, like I'm 52, what are you?
46.
46. So take 365 days times, figure average lifespan, I don't know, 85, 90 if you've got, decent genes, but figure even at 85, but so 365, I'm 53, 52, call it a good 30 years left of living. That's what is that? That's 18,000 days or something like that, 19,000 days. And the time speeds up as you get older, right? Because you've already, when you're younger, time goes slower. When you're older, time just it's perception, but time goes quicker. So that's your time. That's the time you have to live, and then as you get older, you slow down. So really, my peak time is now to, let's call it 65 or so. So I got another 10, 12 years where I can be really active, and do what I want. So that's, what is that, 4,000 days?
Well, even take it down a level from that. Okay, so you've got 4,000 days left to live.
Yes.
Or you've got 30 years to live.
Right.
But
which is about 10,000 days, whatever it is, right? Yeah. Is that right? Yeah.
Oh, I know it's definitely this. Yeah. That's 30 summers.
Right.
That's 30 summers.
That's it.
Right? You get 30 more times to play your summer out.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
Right. When you start putting it into perspective like that, you've got to live for the moment.
Yeah.
You obviously don't want to, do something that's going to kill you or reckless, but you've got to look at it like, and that's why I try not to sweat the small stuff. I sometimes get wrapped up in it, but it's like, at the end of the day, do what matters, help out others, live free, have fun, and make the most, be present, make the most of what you have.
Right.
The time you have now.
Got to.
You have to, because life is fleeting, and we're not here very long. So, but that's what I love about this community and a culture is, if you do it right, the memories, the friendships, there's nothing else that I've personally had experiences like that, and I'm forever.
That is for sure the biggest part of motorcycling for me.
Yeah.
Even more so than the two wheels in the wind. Yeah. Is the people.
100%.
The community.
100%. And my best friends are motorcycle riders, and there's a reason for that. So, anything else? That we you want to talk about that we didn't cover?
No, I got nothing to plug today. I mean, I got plenty I could plug.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm here for today, man.
No.
I'm here to give good advice. Like, you got 30 summers left.
That's right.
Figure out what the hell you're going to do with them.
Get off your fucking ass and.
That's right.
Make it happen.
Yeah, get your nose out of the book or whatever it is you got to do. Get on a bike, get out, experience life. Even if it's not a bike, if it's a classic car or a regular car or plane or a hike, whatever, man. You got 30 summers left.
Get off the fucking phone and experience life.
Yeah, man.
Right? Experience life, and that's what it's all about.
Quit being so soft. Quit worrying about what everybody else thinks.
As my good friend Nick Trask says, don't be a soft cock.
Don't be a soft cock. Yeah, nobody likes a soft cock.
No, he's actually coming on. He's gonna be on our podcast next week, so I'm looking forward to having him and Brian on. We've got some pretty.
He's an interesting character.
He is, but the guy will give you a shirt off his back.
Yep. He's a nice guy.
Nicest guy. Super generous when it comes to philanthropy and charity, and
he likes dogs. That's his thing.
He's a big dog guy. Dogs and
Me too.
Turbos. Yeah.
Dogs and turbos.
Yeah, dogs and turbos.
You're gonna love two things.
Those are two things to love,
Those
indeed.
Two things worth loving.
Yeah. But so I'm excited to have him, and Brian's going to be on, his buddy.
Cool.
So it's going to be fun. But I look forward to bringing you back on next time. We'll have a few different things surprises for you the next time we bring you on next year. But I'm looking forward to our ride this week. Our ride today, actually. We're going to do a little ride and grab some lunch, and then obviously have a great weekend together, enjoying sunny Mexico. So thank you for being on. This is great.
It was awesome.
This is the first time I've done this with someone. This is actually the first time I've done something like this in the studio. Hopefully, people enjoyed this, got to know you a little more, and this is the first of many interviews that we'll be doing with you and with other people. And it's not just going to be people that are well known. We're going to bring in all walks of life, different people from different backgrounds, but the commonality really is motorcycles and the love of riding and love of community and culture. And you've done a lot for our community and a lot for me, and I'm grateful for that. And again, just look forward to many more years riding together and having a good time.
That's awesome, man. I can't believe it's your first one.
Yeah.
And it's Motorcycle Mavericks.
Motorcycle Mavericks. Yeah, got the pillows, the leather chairs. This has been a dream of mine for years to do something like this. Just have great people on and learn their stories and more about them, things that maybe people wouldn't necessarily know. So I'm hoping that we accomplish that and provide people that are tuning in with some entertainment and insight and maybe some takeaways that they can use in their own lives, so we'll see.
Well, I can tell you this much. Motorcycle Mavericks is not like any other podcast I've been on. It's not your normal bullshit.
Thank you.
We talked about some things that may piss some people off today.
That's all right.
But like I said the whole time, toughen up, enjoy life. You only got 30 summers left.
That's a good takeaway. I don't think I need to say anything else. And again, thank you so much for being on. And let's go fucking ride and have some fun and tear it up.
Let's do it.
Not too fast, though. Not too fast.
No. Yeah. Within the legal limits, of course.
Yeah, of course. No 120 mile an hour going down the freeway.
I exaggerate a lot. Ask my wife.
That's right. About many things, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
I'll
Thanks again, man.
Later,
Appreciate it. Thanks,
right,
bud.
bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right.